Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. It's Allan Laboucan with the Rocks and Stocks News Show. I've got a report on gold, some stocks, and the big theme that I'm seeing right now is that gold is under strong demand for the physical side of gold. It's coming from, the central bankers have been buying it for the last several years, the last 3 or 4 years at record levels, and they have tightened up the physical supply of gold above ground. And lately, there's been a bunch of buying that is related to the paper traders or paper trades, if you will, that people are asking for their physical gold that backs up those trades. And this is putting a tremendous amount of tightness on the price of supply of gold, which in turn has driven the price up quite dramatically. I'm going to share my screen here. So here's the gold chart over the last, since December of last year, sorry, December 2023. As you can see in 2024, it started out kind of sideways. I'm going to go back to a little further back chart and I'll explain some other stuff, but really made a significant breakout in early March and then has been on a tremendous run. 2024, it started on the lower left of the chart, and throughout the year, it's been to the upper right. And as you can see here, it ended 2024 at about 26, let's say 26.25. By the way, this is the futures chart, and the spot price is about 20 or $30 less. But as you can see, it's been on a phenomenal run in 2025. This is one of the strongest January effect readings that I've ever seen on the price of gold, and it has been just going gangbusters, setting a new series of record highs. And the key drivers behind that, as my readers and viewers know, the key one is the death spiral of debt that I call it in the United States and throughout the world. Basically, I think that the debt system and the fiat currency system are broken, and gold is the perfect antidote for that. And it's doing quite tremendously well. And on a longer term basis, I think we are on the heading back towards a gold standard where the central bankers of the world back up their debt in a more significant way with gold. It currently only represents a couple of percent of the debt of the major economies of the world, and I think that that should be closer to 10 to 20%. Um, another big factor is that stagflation is starting to show up in a big way in the United States. And I think that that is not much talked about these days. But as we move throughout the year, I think we're going to see another wave of inflation that's significantly above the economic growth. And the combination of the death spiral of debt and stagflation are going to be very bullish for gold. And stagflation is also very bullish for silver. And so I think that gold, silver, and copper, for that matter, are very well positioned to have a good year. As you can see here with the price of copper, it's got off to a really good start to the year, ended close to around $4 a pound, currently trading at $4.79 a pound. The long-term fundamentals for copper are very strong. Supply is tight, demand is strong and getting stronger. And whether I look at gold, silver, copper, my three favorite metals, what I see is that the miners are struggling to replace their old mines with new mines. Um, the development projects the cupboard is bare for all of those metals. We need the mining industry for gold, silver, and copper needs more development projects, and there's just not enough of them. So I think that developers are very attractive. And then when you look at the explorers with important discoveries, there's not enough of those as well. And so basically, what I see happening is that when it comes to the price of gold, the I look at it in two ways: what is above the ground and what is below the ground. The miners, the developers, the explorers, they hold what's under the ground. And then you've got what's above the ground, people that buy coins, buy gold bars, that buy jewelry, that use it in industrial usages. And though that above ground supply is very, very tight right now. And that's why you're seeing what we're seeing here in the price of gold. Throughout 2024, the supply has been getting much tighter. And of late, with the concerns about tariffs as well as uh, paper trades, the contracts that are in paper trades, investors are asking for delivery of that gold. And this is putting a tremendous amount of pressure on the bullion banks from London to New York. And this is why we've seen such a tremendously powerful move to the start of 2025. And I think we're going to see a year where we have higher highs, higher lows. The chart will go from the bottom left to the top right. I actually believe that 2025 is going to outperform gold, which had a very good year. Of all the assets that are out there, it had one of the best years, was up 27, 28%, which people may not realize this, but that outperformed the Standard and Poor's 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So it's been a phenomenal asset. And as as I believe it will have another strong year, I think that this is going to make the assets that are in the ground more attractive. Now, to really understand why I I really am strongly bullish on the gold stocks, the gold in the ground, is I pulled back to a weekly chart here. And as you can see from around 2020 all the way to early 2024, gold was pretty much going sideways. And while it was going sideways, crypto stocks were going up, the AI stocks were going up, the tech stocks were going up, the Magnificent Seven stocks were going up. So the gold stocks and other mining stocks were getting ignored. They were getting punished. They were in a long-term bear market. But then in early 2024, we saw this big move starting, and that got the big major gold miners, especially the best in breed ones, the ones that I've covered extensively in my report. My two favorite gold miners are Agnico Eagle and Alamos Gold. I'm going to talk about them later, but gold was up about 27%. They were both up around 100%. So they did their job. They significantly outperformed the price of gold, and that's because they're excellent miners. And now I think that it didn't really make its way down the food chain to the higher cost producers. to the developers of high quality new gold mines, and to the explorers with important discoveries. They didn't really participate in the bull market to a large degree in 2024. But I've seen some really impressive things in a select group that I'll show you the charts later. But I'm going to start out with McEwen Mining because McEwen Mining has a combination of assets that makes me think that they are going to grow. They're currently at about a $600 million Canadian valuation, and I think they have the assets to grow into a multi-billion dollar valuation company. Their key asset is their Los Azules copper project in Argentina. Here's the news from February 11th. In that, they announced that they have been applied for the admission to the Argentina's large investment incentive regime. It's called RIGI, RIGI. And why this is important is because it's a new it's a new mining friendly regime in Argentina. Sorry, a new mining friendly government in Argentina. And this particular program it expresses why it's important and shows you how mining friendly the Javier Milei's government is. The benefits are a drop in corporate income tax from 35% to 25%, relief from value-added tax payment during construction, exemption from export duties, exclusion from obligations to bring export proceeds into the country, as well as a 30-year stability and access to international arbitration in case of disputes. So this is a very important development for the showing how mining friendly um, uh, Argentina is. And because Los Azules uh, qualifies for these large investment um, incentive regime, it's important because this will help their bottom line. Uh, uh, let's see here. So have a read of this February 11th news release. And then just before that, they announced that they had completed a $110 million offering to raise $110 million through a convertible senior unsecured notes. The rate of interest is very attractive, 5.25%. They raised 110 million, and the what's interesting about this is that they're going to be using some hedges that will, if certain factors come into play, they did this at of approximately a 30% premium to the closing price. But if certain events happen, it could turn into a 100%, depending on how things progress. And so it's as Rob McEwen says here, it's an innovative financing to fund accretive growth initiatives, attractive cost of capital, designed to minimize potential dilution to existing shareholders. Um, it helps the company get a stronger financial cash on their balance sheet. Um, let's see here. Unsecured notes, coupon of 5.25%. The debt will be reduced. Their debt, they have about $20 million of debt that I think is at about 9%. So they'll extinguish that. And so that will save them about 4% a year. Uh, and they'll use there'll be about 60, 70 million left over after this. And so they're putting the company on a stronger financial footing. And Los Azules, if you looked at the average price of takeovers of copper projects in the last 10 years, this is trading for literally half a penny per pound of copper in the ground, or even less than that. And takeovers in a strong takeover market can be in the 2, 3, 4 cents per pound, uh, depending on where you are. As far as whether you're in a preliminary economic assessment, they are working on a feasibility study that is expected to be out in the first half of 2025. Plus, they're looking at a IPO of the copper company, which is McEwen Copper. Currently, it's a private company that's owned 46.4% by McEwen Mining. The other big shareholders are Rob McEwen himself, who owns, I think, about 12 and change percent. Newton Ventures, or Newton, which is a venture of Rio Tinto, which is one of the largest miners in the world, owns, I think it's about a little north of 15%. And Stellantis, one of the world's largest car makers, also owns a similar position as Stellantis. So, that was the Stellantis investment into McEwen Copper was the first time that a major car maker had put invested into a copper development project. And as a copper development project, it's in the top 10 of undeveloped copper projects in the world. And in addition to its size, which has in its preliminary economic assessment is estimated to last for 3+ decades, um, and it's also in the lowest cost quartile of undeveloped copper projects. So it's as far as I think their valuation on its own, just based on the copper asset, is undervalued. But they're not really getting a lot of attention for their gold mining operations, which are quite attractive as well. They are producing in their gold mines. They produce about 140, 135,000 ounces of gold, I believe is the number in 2024. And they're on a path to grow that to 200,000 ounces in the next year or two. And so, as they've got a very good asset on the gold mining side of things. Now, they produce gold currently for about $1,900 an ounce, which makes them what you consider a high cost producer. Now, if you're producing gold at $1,900 an ounce and it's trading at let's say $2,000 an ounce, you're openly making about 5% on your money. Now it starts to trade where it is today, which is $2,900 and over $2,900. And all of a sudden you're making $1,000 per ounce that you produce. And so the movement in the price of gold has really helped their bottom line quite significantly. And a couple other things that make this, if they were just a gold miner on their own without the copper assets, I would make an argument that they're undervalued for the gold with no copper involved. You look at the path to a couple 100,000 ounces. They're also doing work to increase their production and bring their costs down. So if you believe like me that we're going to see $3,000 to $5,000 an ounce in the next couple years, well, 3,000 maybe in the next couple days. But I think we're headed into the $3,000 to $5,000 range. They'll make a lot of money off of their gold mining operations. Uh, but then they've also got they did this resource estimate, and this just represents their gray fox, which is one of their resources. And you can see that the indicated is at about 1.5 million. The inferred is at about a half a million. So between the indicated and inferred, you're looking at a couple million ounces of gold. Then, not far from Gray Fox is their stock project, which is about another half a million, and that's going into production fairly soon. And so that one has very good help to the bottom line and is the asset that will have them on the path to a couple 100,000 ounces of gold production. And so this is something that, let's say, is in the 2 to 5 year to get it into production. But this will give them, a decade of production kind of stuff at very attractive prices. And then in addition to that, they're also doing 69,000 meters of drilling on their Black Fox or their Fox complex. And so when it comes to a gold miner, they've got quite, kind of a really exciting combination. They've got gold production that they're increasing production and bringing down costs. They got a significant resource of let's say 2.5 million ounces if you include stock and the Gray Fox resources of both their indicated and inferred. And then they've got a big drill program. And, you know, I love exploration because it can be transformational. And, you could make a big discovery and all of a sudden everybody gets excited about that. So, I see gold explorers out there that have higher valuations than McEwen Mining does, and they don't have production. Some of them don't have resources. And most of them are not doing 69,000 meters of drilling. So when you put it all together, I could make a case that they're undervalued for their gold and nothing for the copper, or you could look at it the other way and they're undervalued for their copper and getting no value for their gold. So, I'm very bullish on gold and copper. And I think McEwen Mining kind of has the best of both worlds. In the copper front, they've got one of the best undeveloped copper mine in the world. And in their gold operations, they're seeing their bottom line improving quite significantly. They're increasing their production, they're bringing down their costs. They got lots of resources, they're doing lots of drilling. So however you look at it, whether you look at it as a copper or gold, I think they got a great story on both fronts. So that's the McEwen Mining arguments of why I'm so bullish on them. Another company I'm very bullish on is Goliath Resources. And Goliath Resources is they've made a very big breakout. And I'll show you the reason for the big breakout. You see here on January 13th, they announced that they hit 34.52 grams per ton of gold or 1.11 ounces per ton of gold equivalent over 39 meters. Included in that was 132.93 grams per ton gold over 10 meters. Now, some people like to look at what's called the metal factor, where you multiply the meters by the grade, and in this case, that would be a 1,329 gram meter hole. And if you look at that in the context of what has been reported in the last decade or two, that would put them in that hole in the top percentile of all holes reported anywhere in the world over the last decade or two. So it got a lot of attention and it caused a significant breakout. So I'm gonna zoom out here. And as you can see, they were doing quite well in 2024. They were firming up nicely from their March lows, and at about 74 cents, they got all the way up to about $1.42. A lot of the gold stocks softened in the end of the year, as did they. They closed the year at about at a dollar. And as you can see here today, which is Thursday, the 13th of February, they closed at $2.34. And that has everything to do with that spectacular hole. See, here's the day they announced that spectacular hole. And as you can see, look at the volume since they announced that. And so this company has made a tremendous breakout. And earlier I mentioned to you that I was seeing a trend start to develop that I didn't see in all of 2024, which was that the smaller companies, the high cost gold producers, the developers, the explorers with important discoveries, really didn't participate in the bull market of gold in 2024. But so far this year, and I'm going to show you a few others, I've seen already in January some significant breakouts. Even on good news, sometimes last year, the explorers wouldn't move very much. But so far in 2025, look at that extreme breakout. And I'm going to show you some other breakouts as I talk about them later. But that's the big trend that I'm seeing where what I think is happening, we are starting to see because of the tightness of the supply of gold above ground, that investors are starting to appreciate projects with gold in the ground. And so that's a significant change over 2024. And I think you're going to see this, we're going to see this play out as we move throughout 2025. Okay, so now I'm going to move. So actually, before I get off of Goliath, uh, so then oh, sorry. Oh, what am I doing here? Okay, sorry. I'll go back here. Okay, so there was that big hole on January the 13th. Then on January the 29th, McEwen Mining made a strategic investment into Goliath Resources. And what that is that McEwen Mining is giving $10 million worth of their stock to Goliath, and Goliath is giving $10 million worth of their stock to McEwen Mining. And so this is a pretty big milestone to me because Rob McEwen is a mining in the Mining Hall of Fame because of the success that he had with Corp. Built it from a $50 million valuation company to, I think it was close to 8 to 10 billion by the time during his tenure running the company. And so he's a company builder and also a very successful investor. And so having McEwen Mining make a strategic investment, and Rob McEwen personally has made 3 investments in private placements into Goliath Resources, is a pretty good indicator of the quality of the project. And then just a few days ago, Goliath announced 12 grams per ton of gold equivalent over 10 meters. So that makes it a 120 gram meter hole. But just look at this news release. And this is not, this happens all the time with this company. 6.14 grams of gold equivalent over 5 meters. Included in that was 16 grams over a meter. New stacked gold vein. So they're some of these they're just tapping their first hole into, like they say here, new stacked gold vein, and they got to do more drilling on that new vein. But here's another one, a new vein. Then they got into the Bonanza Shear. This is all in one hole, three separate veins in one hole. And at the Bonanza Shear, uh, which is shaping up to be the best of all the stacked veins on this system, 8.56 grams per ton of gold over 6 meters. Just to put that into context, this 6 meters is, you can mine down to a meter. So 6 meters is a nice mineable width. But 8.5 grams, gold is trading at close to $100 a gram. So you're looking at very valuable rock there over a 6 meter intersection. Included in that was 10 grams over 5 meters, 12 grams over 4 meters. Here's hole 263, and you can see some nice visible gold. Here, let me try to zoom in so you can see that a better. As you can see, these are flakes of gold here, and here's where they are in the drill core. Let me zoom back out. And, that's what's responsible for a lot of these high grade hits. Oh, sorry, that was 263, and this is the vein that they're talking about. All right. So then you go to hole 290. Let's take a look at that. New stack gold vein, 8 grams of gold equivalent over 4.85 meters. So, even down to a meter, you can mine with high grade in it. But, you look again, you're talking $100 a gram. That's $800 a ton rock. Very attractive stuff. Inside of that was 13.49 grams over 2.85 meters in a new stacked gold vein. So they're finding new, they've got a series of stacked veins, and now they're finding more in their new drilling. Here you got another new stacked gold vein. So only one hole into these things. 3.42 grams per ton of gold over 5 meters. So, that's a few hundred, $340 a ton rock over 5 meters. Another new stacked vein, 4.5 grams per ton of gold over 5 meters. Bonanza Shear, another nice hit in the Bonanza Shear, 5 meters of 4.24 grams per ton of gold. This shows you some of the that it remains open and the nice looking core. Hole 241, 3 grams over 15 meters. And you keep, and this goes on and on with this project. You look at all these drill holes, and these holes I just talked about are kind of consistent throughout this. I think they've got a. Usually they include in here where you can see the stacked zones. Hold on a second. I'm just going through all the technical stuff. No, it's not in this one, but that's okay because we'll just go to the website, and I love to show. So I'm going to talk about this later, but let's go to this one first. Where are we here? Yeah. Oh, look at that beautiful. That's all visible gold, folks, in a surface sample over at the jackpot area that it's only had a few holes into it. Okay. So what you can see here in this image, I'm just going to let it play. So these this red zone, this pink zone, the yellow, the orange, the purplish. I'm not great with colors, but bear with me. The green, these are all stacked veins. There you can see them much better. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine stacked veins. And you can see all the drill. Oh, let's go back there. I love this image. Uh, Here you can see they're kind of running through it, and this shows you some of the dikes that are going through there, the intrusive bodies that are going through there, the stack zones. And you know, if you go and look at some of the pogo stacked zones, the pogo mine is one of North America's great gold mines. I think it averaged about 10 grams per ton of gold in a series of stacked veins that were, let's say 1 to 10 meters. And it looks much like this. And I don't think it had as much visible gold. Like, for example, in the 2024 drill, or yeah, 2024 that they're now reporting, 92% of the holes had visible gold in it. And even up to coarse, abundant visible gold, coarse grain visible gold. This is just an incredible project, an incredible discovery that I think is just going to get better and better. Now, let's go over here. Actually, I'm going to go to their presentation and I want to show you something really cool because um, I think they've got another great discovery 35 kilometers to the north of Sherbet. Let's just get down here and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm really excited about this Treasure Island discovery. So this is the Golden Triangle of British Columbia. The red is all their ground. So they pretty much got most of the north south tip of the Golden Triangle of British Columbia, which is a spectacular mining region. So I just want to get down to and show you something really cool here. Where are we? Hold on, bear with me. So you look at these zones, and this looks identical to the stacked veins at the Pogo mine. Uh, okay, so I'm very bullish on Sherbet. I think it's going to be a future mine, a multi-million ounce future mine. But there's something really interesting about 35 kilometers to here it is. This is called Treasure Island. This is a retreating glacier here, and out popped this, what they call Treasure Island. And when they looked at it, they put the helicopter down and they saw a lot of massive sulfides. And that gets really exciting in the Golden Triangle because massive sulfides are what the Great Mine Eskay Creek put the Golden Triangle on the map, which it was because it was a VMS or a volcanogenic massive sulfide. So when you see massive sulfide discoveries in the Golden Triangle, it's time to get excited. So they saw this. They went in and they did these channel cuts where you basically take a saw to the rock and you cut a channel, you chip out the rock in between your channels, and you send that in for sampling, for assaying. And it came back with very high grade, like an ounce per ton of gold, uh, high percentages of copper. Look at this channel cut. 28 grams of gold over and also 5% copper. Now, this is the channel cut, and this is the drill core. You can't tell the difference between these two. So they drilled 12 holes into this Treasure Island discovery in 2024 drilling. Those are still not been released. I cannot wait to see the assays from this. And up here, I'm going to zoom out again. And what you see here is here's the intersections of semi-massive to massive sulfides in the 2024 drilling. 9.8 meters in one hole, 6.2 meters in another, 6.4 meters in another, 4.75 meters in another. So it averaged out at about 6 meter intersection. This could be the top of a very exciting VMS lens. And so pay attention to that one. All right. So that's the arguments of why I like Goliath Resources. All right. So now I'm going to, if my screen will participate with me, the next company is Borealis Mining. Borealis is a sponsor of my shows. I'm a significant shareholder in the company. I'm very bullish on the company. They have the old Borealis mine in Nevada that it was in production in the past, had some problems. The company that was mining it went into debt. Then they had some production problems, and it basically killed the company. But as you can see, like here's the alteration inside of one of the pits. And if you look at the ground around it, they have 20 kilometers, 20 square miles of outcropping alteration on the project. That is one of the largest alteration packages in all of Nevada. And here you can see the proof in the pudding that, they were mining this alteration and this pit, and that's the alteration. And it looks just like this for 20 square miles. And, a lot of junior mining companies these days they are struggling to raise money. And on February 4th, Borealis announced that they did an upsized $10 million bought deal financing. So, in a challenging market for juniors to raise money, these guys were able to raise $10 million. I understand it's all been closed off and is just awaiting the final paperwork to get done and completely close it off. But it's all been spoken for, and yeah, so now they're getting the paperwork done and the checks in the bank, as you say, and that will enable them to do a lot of really good work on their project. Something else they're doing currently is drilling, and they've got some drill holes that are pending. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those. Rob McEwen owns about 15% of the stock in this company. He bought that when the company was private. Eric Sprott is also an important shareholder. He bought into the company also when it was private. Hasn't even been publicly trading for a year yet. They've had some residual production from the leach pad that they have on the property that had never recovered some of the gold. So I think they've recovered about 1,000 ounces. Basically doesn't cost them anything to recover that or very little. So that's a significant amount of money for a junior. And they recently made a takeover offer for another company that has a oxide deposit. I think it's about 500,000 ounces with a very high internal rate of return on it. But that preliminary economic assessment was based on them processing the material at off their property. And in the background here, you're going to see an image of an ADR plant. which is what you need to process the material that Gold Bull has. You can sort of see it in the background there. There it is. And so this, a 500,000 ounces isn't going to get a major excited, but this could be a nice 30,000 ounce production for a junior mining company that, currently has a very modest valuation. So, um, they've got a they got a really interesting combination. They got the potential to grow through exploration on the Borealis project. It's fully permitted, has a processing facility, has power, water, everything you need to turn that back on to full production. And they're out there looking with the drill rig for some new material for production. It also has about a 300,000 or 300,000 ton stockpile that needs to go on the leach pad. So they got potential for near-term cash flow. And then they've got, they're what I've said before is to people is they're a junior that actually has a business plan. Most juniors, their business plan is to hope that they get taken over by a bigger company, but this company wants to turn into a producer, and they've got the assets to do it, and I think they've got a great future ahead of them. All right, Power Nickel is my highest conviction copper discovery exploration company with an important discovery. And just here's a perfect example of how impressive their discovery is. 10.6% copper equivalent over 5.35 meters, with 3.61% copper equivalent over 19.4 meters. This is what you call a polymetallic deposit. In addition to having high grade copper in it, it also has platinum, palladium, and gold and silver and base metals. But, and some of the greatest mines in the world are polymetallic. Norilsk, for example, in Russia, is a polymetallic deposit. And it looks like they might have found something similar to that in Quebec, which is one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. So so this is the fifth. They announced that and you look at, I've done this before with this company. Just scroll down, look at their drill hole results. January 21st, 6.26% copper equivalent over 10 meters. 29.5 meters with between 2.3% to 11% copper equivalent. Extending the zone by 150 meters. 19.6 meters of 3.82% copper. Just keeps hitting hole after hole after hole. And then recently, they announced just in the last few days that are doing a $40 million bought deal financing. And Rob McEwen, who's already a shareholder, is putting more money into the company, as is Robert Friedland. They've got Gina Reinhardt, which made her fortune in Australia in mining, and she owns shares in the company as well. So they got a bunch of really smart, wealthy investors that are in Power Nickel. And as I said, it's my highest conviction copper exploration company with an important discovery. And I really think it's just in the earliest days of its discovery. And earlier, I mentioned that, let me pull up their chart, because here's another example of So they ended the year at about, let's say, 80 cents. I think I started covering them back here when they were about 70 cents. So they ended 2024 at about, let's say, 77 cents. Today they closed at $1.64. We were not seeing these kind of breakouts in juniors in 2024. And there's several others. I got a list here of about 10 different companies ranging from gold miners down to mid-tier miners, juniors, junior miners, mid-tiers, silver developers, and they're breaking out in a significant way. It's very much different than 2024, and I think this is again is a trend that we're going to see more of in 2025, along with gold doing much better. Okay, Vizsla Silver. This is I am just over the moon excited about Vizsla Silver. They have a project that has the one of the best internal rate of returns with a low capex that I've seen in many, many years. They're looking at today's prices with over 100% IRR, and the capex to bring it into production is only $200 million US. Their current valuation is 3 times that capex to build the mine. So, they don't need a partner. They don't need a major to come and take them over. They don't need a major to help them build it. This company can build it on its own. It's got about $100 million in cash. So, will have no problem building this. So they've got this phenomenal silver and gold uh, development project that looks very attractive, and that I think is going to be the next Silvercrest. And Silvercrest, I started following that at about $4 a share, and they're trading at about 12 and almost $13 a share, and they're being taken over. They just a phenomenal mine. They brought it into production, owing $100 million to develop it. And within 4 quarters of full commercial production, they have almost $200 million in their treasury and paid off all the debt and bought back stock. That's just an example, and it's almost a perfect analog to the project to what Vizsla Silver has. Another interesting thing is that the guy who built the mine for Silvercrest is a director and the chief operating officer for Vizsla. So no matter how you slice it, it's exciting. It's going to be a future impressive silver and gold mine in Mexico. But they are still have only explored about 10% of their project. And they're doing a bunch of drilling as well in 2025. So they've got the potential to make new discoveries on their project that it already is heading towards being a very exciting silver and gold mine of the not too distant future. A couple of years down the road, they're moving towards bringing this into production. I'm really happy to have this company as a sponsor of my shows because I think it's going to evolve into a spectacular success story. And they are also an example, like the two companies earlier that I talked about. Here's Vizsla Silver. So again, they closed the year at about, let's say, about 240. And today they're trading at $3.12. So there again is another example of a significant breakout. And again, I'll say it again, we didn't see this happening too much in 2024. And I'm seeing this on a lot of different companies that I'm following. So very exciting project, very exciting company, has a very bright future. I would love to be able to find you more silver explorers and silver mine developers, but they're just not out there. And that's why I'm so excited to have Vizsla as a sponsor because I can follow their evolution through interviews with Michael Connor, their CEO, and keep my audience well informed of their progress. But what excites me is the exploration potential and the phenomenal metrics on their preliminary economic assessment. Like I said, if you use current silver and gold prices, they have an IRR that's better than 100% IRR. Those are hard to find. And especially when you consider that the capex to bring it into production is only 200 million. To find a low capex project with such an impressive IRR, that IRR means that they will pay back the capex in 7 or 8 months of bringing it into production. Just phenomenal metrics. And again, Vizsla is one that I think has a tremendous future ahead of it. The next company is Inventus, and Inventus is a tiny little junior that Rob McEwen owns, I think, about 20% of it. And what they're developing well, I guess they almost are a developer. They've got a conglomerate project in Ontario called the Pardo Gold Project. In the past, they have the conglomerate actually comes to surface here and here. Their overall claim is a lot larger than this, but this is the area where they did the bulk samples. They took a 1,000 ton bulk sample. They got an average grade of 4.2 grams per ton of gold right at the surface. Now, to put, and this over here is a 5,000 ton sample at a grade of 3.4 grams per ton of gold. When you're looking at this, folks, where it comes right to surface, remember that gold is trading at about $100 a gram. All right. And it comes right to the surface here. They're doing about 80 holes, and in this news release, uh, here's some more. Now, this is the core. After I read you the results, let's go back up here and look at the results. So, this was from the first so it's within the first 18 meters of surface. So it's virtually, you can walk on it and it's right underneath your feet. 4.6 grams per ton of gold over 2.43 meters, 3.5 grams over 3.17, 3.1 grams over 2, 3.6 over 1.5, and it's right under your feet, folks. This was 24 holes of an 80-hole program. Here you can see all the intersections. And so, yeah, my gosh, I think that this is something that could go into production if they keep moving in the direction that they're going. But I wanted to show you their presentation because there's some cool information in the presentation. So here's the conglomerate. You see there's boulders in there, and then there's the country rock between it. That's what's in the gold. The boulders do not have the gold, and they're looking at a process to when they to take the boulders out before they process the material. And that would allow them to upgrade a concentrate. And that's a very exciting prospect on its own. Here you can see this purple is where it comes to surface right up in here. And that's the sheet of the conglomerate right underneath the feet. Um, and so look at some of this beautiful gold. Let me see here. I wanted you to show you the overall land package because it's quite a bit bigger. Uh, hold on. I think this one shows. Yeah, this is all of their what's open, unexplored area on their ground where they think the conglomerate continues. Okay, and this is a very important sample to me because Novo had a failure of a conglomerate project in Australia. They tried to mine it, but it had very coarse gold. And it didn't work out because the coarse gold was too sporadically distributed through the conglomerate. So that didn't make for very good mining. But one of the greatest mine in the world is the Witwatersrand conglomerates. And what made Witwatersrand different than what was found by Novo in Australia was the Witwatersrand had this fine gold like this distributed in the conglomerate. So you take tons of that conglomerate and it's well disseminated and you just keep making money after money. I think that thing's been in production for over 100 years. And so this showing this fine visible gold is very exciting. So yeah, Inventus has about another 60 holes left to report. Some beautiful looking gold in the conglomerate. And yeah, I think they got something that could be a mine in the not too distant future. All right, so now I'm going to go to the final company I'm going to talk about today is Canadian Gold Corp. This is another one that Rob McEwen owns a big chunk of. He owns about 30% of it or more. And they've got this project in Manitoba in a mining jurisdiction called Flin Flon. The Tartan mine was in production in the past, but ran into some difficulties when gold was cheaper and went out of business. And then Canadian Gold Corp got the project. And this is their news release from a few days ago on February the 10th. 19.4 grams per ton of gold over 4.5 meters, and 7.4 grams per ton of gold over 13.5 meters. So again, when I look at this, I look at 4.5 meters or 13.5. You can mine these orogenic veins down to about a meter, sometimes even less if there's real high grade gold. So 4.5, 13 meters, really good looking stuff. But then you put this into context, let's say 20 grams per ton of gold, gold's trading at $100 a gram. That's some really sweet looking rock to me. And so here's some of their other results. They got another hole with 8 grams over 5.2 meters, 12.5 over 2.55 meters. Underground mining, that, not a problem. All right. Now, I always like to show people this because here you can see this gray here is the underground workings in the historical production. Came down here, and this is where it stopped. Now, when I first saw this project, I noticed that there was a high-grade core in here, and felt that, that should continue, keep going. And they're drilling back in 2017. They did a resource on it. And, sure enough, it continues down here. And then after, so there had been no drilling below this. Canadian Gold Corp has done the drilling below that hatched line. And look at this high grade core, it continues to keep going deeper and deeper. And look at 12.7 grams over 3.2 meters. These are all mineable widths here, folks. You can mine this stuff down to a meter in underground orogenic gold mines, and you're looking at the low end a few $100s a ton of rock. At the high end, what's the best one they had here? They had some really spectacular stuff. 12 grams, 23.8 grams, 20 grams. And it just keeps going. And they have a mother hole, and then they've got wedge holes that are coming off of that mother hole to get down here. But the system just keeps going, and it's your sort of classic orogenic gold system. Look at some of this visible gold here. Look at that beautiful visible gold, and it returns 67 grams per ton of gold over a meter. Just some really spectacular stuff. And I think they got a great project, but really not many people are paying attention to them. They only got a valuation of like, I think it's $10 million or something like that. And I think they got a great orogenic gold system here that is just going to get better and better as they drill it more and they drill deeper. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. I could talk about my picks all day long, every day. I've got a lot of them. I've got a group that I didn't I wanted to make this about an hour. I don't even know how long we're into this. I think we're well over an hour. But there you go. There's just some great companies out there. Gold is breaking out in a big way. It's in a fantastic bull market. Silver's starting to get into the play. Copper's getting into it. There's not enough explorers out there with important discoveries in those metals. There's not enough developers. There's not enough miners. We need more of everything. And that's why part of the reason why I'm so bullish on gold, silver, and copper. The supply chain is broken from the top biggest miners all the way down to the explorers, and we need we need perfection in the supply chain to meet the demand. And look at what's happening right now in gold. We're seeing a tightness in the above ground supply, and the miners can't do anything about it. So, that's going to help gold keep going much higher. And then the indicators of what I talked about earlier, I don't need to go over again here, but uh, as always, do your homework, speak with your financial advisors, be aware that some of these companies are sponsors, some of them are not, some of them I'm a shareholder, some of them I'm not, so I'm biased. My biggest bias is always that if I'm going to have an opinion on something, I want to be right about it. And that makes me no different than anybody else that has a bias on any topic. If they've got an opinion, it's because they want to be right. And I do, and I think I've been pretty good at being right a lot more than I've been wrong. And if you want to test me on that comment, just go to my Substack and look at my commentary and look at my interviews and my videos and what I talk about and what I write about. It's all out there. Everything that I do is out there for people to see. Most of my peers don't do that. And there's a reason why they don't do that. But I won't mention the reason why they don't do that. I'll mention the reason why I do present everything. It's because I get things right a lot more often than I get things wrong. But keep and wear. I'm biased. And do your homework and see if you agree or disagree with my opinions. That's all I can ask from anybody. Have a great day, and we will talk to you soon.